Who am I? Dr. Love's certainly a big act to follow, but my name's Harold, I'm Harold Smith. In 2011, I sold my first mobile health startup to Walgreens. It was a prescription compliance product that allowed you to take your medicine on time. 2012, I sold a data security product to a Canadian company called Fixmo, and it helped secure mobile content or secure enterprise content on mobile devices. Currently, I'm a partner at Dr. Round's Cloud. It is a mHealth solution that helps doctors capture what they do during the day and in the end get paid. It helps track patients, make sure patients get better levels of care, and helps with doctors' return on investment. And I have a long background of developing enterprise products within the DoD and all those other spaces. And as a presentation before, it really wasn't a big shock where healthcare.gov ended up. Does anybody here work in the federal space, or quite a few? So you all can sympathize. Mobile security. It's sort of a unknown topic, I think, to a lot of people. Me coming as a developer from the enterprise space, building web applications, security was something you never really had to worry about because you were building products within the safe firewall. Everybody was taking care of the encryption and all for you at the database side. But when we get to mobile, it's really a different world for all of us because mobile phones have so much personal information on them. I'm logged into Facebook on my two phones. I don't really use banking, but a lot of people do. And we're accumulating so much data on these phones, and people really don't realize how much of their personal lives are accumulating on these things and the security risks involved with those. And just some statistics, only 44% of users utilize a PIN or passphrase on their device. So there's over 50% of people that have no access to prevent somebody from just picking up their phone and using it. And just some simple statistics, a 4-digit PIN has 10,000 combinations, so it's really not that hard to crack. It takes about 20 minutes of brute force if you actually pull the data off the device and try to crack it on your own. Patterns are no better. A 5-digit password compared to a 5-digit pattern, there's a factorial difference of how secure a password is compared to a pattern, which a lot of people use on Android phones. It has more to do with it's a 9-digit keypad, and how far you can go back and forth between each one is really where that figure comes from. Why do people do these kinds of things? 44% of people say a PIN or password is too cumbersome. 30% of people aren't worried about the risk, which some people might not be. I live a pretty mundane life, so somebody steals my Facebook information, it's not that big of a deal. But my corporate data, which a lot of people are starting to load on the devices, really is a problem. Then we start looking at things like healthcare. 80–90% of doctors are using mobile phones while they're visiting patients. Is your doctor one of those 30% of people that don't worry about having a PIN on their device? And they're operating outside of the world of bring your device, that kind of thing, where hospitals have clamped down on managing mobile devices. Bring BYOD. Most enterprises haven't really formalized. There are people bringing devices into the enterprise, accessing enterprise data and all that. I can tell you the hospitals we deal with, when you start talking about bring your own device, it's a blank stare of really understanding what that means and setting up policies so doctors are responsible with the content that they're accumulating. I mean, consider how much information a cell phone can have on it if a doctor's accumulating patient information. There have been a lot of high-level laptop losses of unencrypted laptops by doctors left in cars and that kind of thing. I have not seen a single story of a doctor or a hospital reporting a lost cell phone yet. And as many people lose cell phones, a lot of doctors are losing cell phones. So how much unencrypted EPHI is out there that nobody's taking account of? On the enterprise side, containerization is the big approach that people are taking, where you build a secure sandbox around your products. Good Fixmo, AirWatch, MobileWire, and they're all offering solutions that counter those problems. They provide a force pin to get into the products, that kind of solution. They're all FIPS compliant, so they hit the requirements for the DoD, that kind of thing. Is anything hack-proof? Absolutely not. The operating system can have exploits. It's an onion approach to everything. If you work inside the DoD, the Intel space, it's how much money is it going to take for somebody with nefarious intents to crack your product? You want to try to keep ahead, so you create a scale of it costs more money than it's worth to get that data out. So it's adding features to your products to make sure people really can't exploit them. If you have not read this book, it is the Bible for understanding how to exploit iOS applications. It provides great resources for learning how to do it. Even if you really don't know how to program, it's a great resource. It walks you through how to jailbreak phones, how to pull data off. It shows you how it takes 20 minutes to crack a pin on an iPhone to exploit that data. The first chapter alone should scare you never to use a mobile device. So I'm going to touch on just a few level high topics, which you really should consider. These are things a lot of people don't really think about when they're developing, but there really are considerations you should take. Encryption. Don't really rely on the device encryption. It is secure, but it's easily exploitable. The keychain in iOS, as an example, it's secure. You can put stuff there, but it's not that difficult to crack it. If you're using the 4-digit PIN, it really takes no effort at all to crack it. Encrypt your own data. It's probably the best piece of advice. SQL Cipher is an open source product out there that provides AES-256 encryption. You just provide a key, and it'll encrypt all the data for you. MITRE has actually open sourced a huge library of open source code under IMAS. It leverages SQL Cipher. It actually uses a FIPS compliant build of it. So, if you're working in the government space, it's a good thing to use. It can help you. They provide encryption tools, all sorts of things. Man-in-the-middle attacks. This is intercepting connections from the server to your mobile device. This is a big area that a lot of people don't really look at to secure. Bad actors can set up fake Wi-Fi spots in Starbucks and scavenge your information. It's easily preventable. You use SSL pinning to make sure that the server certificate coming back is actually your server certificate. It's a really simple concept that Google really was really pushing this year. Chrome uses it for all their big websites. And you can actually submit to Google Chrome to have your SSL certificate pinned into Chrome if you want. Replay attacks. If you're making HTTP requests to your server, you want to be able to protect those nefarious sources from replaying that data back to your server. It's basically a strategy of you provide the end client, the app, with a signing key. Every time a request's made, you generate a timestamp for that request. You sign the timestamp, and you pass that along to the server. So then the server can validate it's an actual client making the request, and I'm within a window, 5 to 10 minutes of that request being valid. So you can sort of say, is someone trying to attack me by sending the same information over and over? Jailbreaking. Jailbreak root detection is very difficult. You should try to have some strategy for preventing people from using jailbroken devices. If you have an enterprise product. Mobile health, we really work hard to try to roll jailbreak root detection into our products. You're never going to keep up with the dedicated community to jailbreaking apps, because there's thousands of them and there's one of you. That's the way it works. But a community project like MITRE's IMAS really helped that, because they're publishing how to counteract these things all the time on GitHub. Just some industry tools. Server side, Tenable. It's a great product to actually audit your servers if you're using a cloud environment, your hosted servers. It'll actually leverage the NIST standards, which if you're configuring servers, our government's done the work for us. NIST does a great job of publishing standards, which the DoD, Intel community, all of them use. So there's no reason to try to configure a server on your own. The work is already done for you. Certification, there's a bunch of companies out there trying to set up certification programs. I personally like Via Forensics. They started out as a forensics company for mobile devices, and they're actually moving into certifying products as, hitting a lot of those points that I talked about, to not be exploited. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't write your own encryption. That is a terrible idea, and you should never try to do it. There's a lot of bad code on Stack Exchange, so really, look at what you're doing. Compliance tips, know who you're regulated by, ONC, HHS, if you're developing mobile health products, just have a good idea of, what compliance you fall under. Validate who you partner with. I originally had submitted this talk to the mHealth Summit, and they actually turned me down, but I submitted it to Pete before that. But their partner site to submit the talks, I forgot my password. They sent it back in plain text. So if you're working with somebody, do some validation that they're not sending you passwords in plain text. And half the reason to do anything with security is you can protect your own intellectual property, because I spend a lot of time on my stuff. I know all of you spend a lot of time on your stuff. It's a valid reason to do it for that alone if it's not for your own customers. Who to follow? I like these Via Forensics and POF on Twitter. Twitter's a great resource for getting exploits, that kind of thing that hit the market. It's really the cutting edge place to do it, because people, security researchers find these exploits and post them up. I have 2 or 3 minutes for questions. I don't know if anybody has anything. I'll be available afterwards if anybody has any questions. Yes, sir.
You talked about detecting if you're running on a jailbroken device.
Yes.
Talk a little more about that. How you figure that out?
There are a few the IMAS project by MITRE has an entire library of jailbreak detection there. So that's going to be the best thing to use. It is difficult because people they figure out ways around them, but there's ways to litter your code with jailbreak detection so you can actually detect if a phone is jailbroken. And a lot of things will do jailbreak detection where they'll still let you use the app, but it'll still send a flag to the server. So if you're building a mobile health product, you can know that it's jailbroken and alert somebody within the organization that this doctor has a phone that's exploited that could leak EPHI, because we're still in the wild, wild west of medicine in terms of mobile. So nobody really knows what they're doing yet. As Chuck knows. So I don't know. Yes, sir.
Given all the concerns on the data, the HIPAA, snapshot data, do you really think BYOD and the healthcare space is really going to happen?
Yes, because doctors are doing it already without any of those policies in place. There really are good ways to secure the data. I mean, the DoD is picking that kind of stuff up, having data cached on the device. The hard part is for developers to be able to apply those paradigms to their apps, because, security is difficult. It's hard for people to pick up. So BYOD will happen. It's just, that's why it's taken for so long for it to actually get there. I think BYOD for medicine is still another year, 2 years off because of all those problems. It's, we're lagging so far behind because people don't know what they're doing, at least in my opinion, for whatever it's worth. So, all right, I've run past my time. I'm here all day if anybody has any questions or wants to chat. So, thank you very much.